to grow in faith, hope and love. Let our hearts be your dwelling place. Fill our lives with your Spirit and teach us how to forgive, and grant us wisdom and patience. Heavenly Parent, you invite us to know you, and we wish to walk in your light always. I offer this prayer together with my brothers and sisters here present at this Sunday worship. Adieu. Amen. So we have some, I'd like to invite the children to go to their Sunday school. And a big thank you to AJ and the Sunday school team. We have some announcements now. You may have some announcements on the screen. I've got a couple here that I'd like to read out. You may recall that over the past few weeks there's been a couple of laptops outside the door, and we've been asked to update our contact details for the database, so that information going out from within our community does reach each one of us. Mr. Hayashi mentioned that there's still quite a few who haven't actually updated their details. So if you want to do that, you can have a word with Noemi, who will actually take your details as well. And on the 29th of November, George and a good friend of his, Japanese lady Kinoe, are holding a meditation event here in the afternoon, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. And also it will help to relieve stress in our lives as well, which is always a good, healthy thing, I must say. There is a small entrance fee, which George will make you aware of, and also there'll be a poster, I think, going up as well. Yeah, on that one. Also, this coming Tuesday, we're delighted to welcome about 50 Japanese members, brothers and sisters, who are on a special pilgrimage to Europe with Mrs. Song. And I understand they'll be traveling to Switzerland, France, and then finally to London. On the Monday evening, they'll be welcomed by Lord Ahmed in the House of Lords. And then on Tuesday, around 4 p.m. in the afternoon, they'll be coming here to headquarters, and they will be welcomed by Matthew Hewish, who will give them a presentation as well. So if any of you would like to meet Mrs. Song and the brothers and sisters, you're most welcome to be here. So that's Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, 4 p.m. Here in the ballroom. So again, delighted to have David with us this morning, and the title of his sermon is Procrastination. Let's invite the band once again to lead us in a couple of more songs to really help prepare us to receive the message.
Some of you may have noticed we have a new face here, or very common, very known face here in our community, but new to the stage. So we'd like to welcome Cara Hayes. We have Noemi helping on the technical side of things today. So we're very fortunate to have two new members. So we're always open to anyone who wants to volunteer their time to help the worship become more and more heartfelt, and for anyone who wants to contribute. So yes. The first song we're going to be singing is Grace of the Holy Garden. So if you can rise and really share your joy with the Lord at this time. sermon would be Never Once. So let's really get hyped up before the sermon and we prepare ourselves.
Good morning, brothers and sisters. Good morning. That last song reminds me I was in the Hillsong Church about a month ago with my nephew Adam. He was leading the praise service there in Hillsong, and they sang that very song, "You Are Faithful." So it brings back great memories of him. He was also here last Sunday as well to join the service. So the title of the sermon today is "Don't Procrastinate." For some of you who don't know what procrastination is, I'm sure you all do, but it means, it says, to keep delaying doing something that must be done, often because it's unpleasant or boring. So to keep delaying something that must be done, we know it must be done, often because it's unpleasant or boring.
I'm sure none of you ever do that, but just in case, we'll see where we lead today. I want to read, first of all, 3 short stories from Father Reverend Moon's autobiography about this topic. Reverend Moon was very much a person who, when he got the word from God, he had to follow immediately. He didn't procrastinate. And the first one is about when in 1945, after the liberation of Korea from Japan, when Father was released from prison in North Korea and making his way south with his first disciple and another disciple on a bicycle. Immediately following liberation, our country was in an indescribable chaos. Daily necessities were difficult to come by, even for people with money. That was not the one I wanted to start with. Let's see what that's one. Beg pardon. Now, actually, this is going back to 1945 when Father was going after the liberation from Japan. There was an incredible hardship in Korea, and Father was going to collect rice from one of his family members. So immediately following liberation, our country was in indescribable chaos. Daily necessities were difficult to come by, even for people with money. We ran out of rice in our home, so I set out for Pekchon, a community north of Seoul and just south of the 38th parallel, to pick up some rice that had been purchased previously. On my way, though, I received a revelation that said, "Go across the 38th parallel, find the people of God who are in the north." I immediately crossed the 38th parallel and headed for Pyongyang. So that's Father's first test when he was pushed across the border into North Korea. And the second one, this was the time after Father was set free from prison in 1950, set free from prison in North Korea. He was making his way south with 2 disciples. So after walking a long distance, we were approaching the northern bank of the Indian River. Somehow I felt it was important that we crossed the river quickly and that we didn't have a moment to spare. I felt strongly that we had to get over this obstacle for us to stay alive. I pushed Wonpil Kim mercilessly. Kim was young and would fall asleep as we walked, but I kept forcing him on and pulling the bicycle. We covered 32 kilometers, 20 miles that night, and reached the bank of the Imjin River. Fortunately, the river was frozen solid. A long line of refugees stretched out behind us. As soon as we had crossed the river, however, the UN forces closed the crossing and stopped people crossing the border. Had we arrived at the river even a few moments later, we would not have had time to cross. After we had crossed, Wonpil Kim looked back on the road we had come across and asked, "How did you know the river crossing was to be closed?" "Somehow I just knew," I said. "This kind of thing happens to anyone who takes the path of heaven." People often don't know that salvation is just beyond the next obstacle. We didn't have a moment to waste. And the final reading is a bit later on in 1971, when Father had direction from God, he should go back to America. Near the end of 1971, I went to the United States again. I had certain tasks that absolutely needed to be accomplished there. But getting there was not so easy. It was not my first visit to the United States, yet I had to wait an unusually long time to receive my visa. Some members suggested that I delay my departure, but I could not do that. It was difficult for me to explain to the members, but it was important that I leave Korea on the designated date. So I decided to go first to Japan and apply for a US visa. While in Japan, I was in a hurry to leave Korea. The day of my departure was quite cold, but so many members came to see me off that they could not all get into the airport terminal. When it came time for me to go through the passport control desk, however, it was discovered that my passport was missing the stamp of the section chief of the Foreign Ministry's passport section. This stamp was required in order to, as proof that the government had cleared me to leave the country. Because of this, I missed my scheduled flight. The members who had prepared for my departure apologized profusely and suggested that I return home and wait while they went back to the section chief and got him to place his stamp on my passport. No, I told them, I will wait here at the airport. Go quickly and get the stamp. My heart was filled with urgency. It happened to be on a Sunday, so the section chief could not be at his desk. But I could not afford to let myself be concerned with such matters. In the end, our members went to the home of the section chief and had him place his stamp on my passport. So I was able to board the final flight of the day out of Korea. That night, the government declared a national state of emergency and imposed heavy restrictions on foreign travel by private citizens. I had boarded the last flight that would allow me to go to America. So 3 occasions there when Father was given the word by God to do something, and he had to do it immediately. Actually, it says in the Bible that to procrastinate is a sin, which is quite shocking. It says in James chapter 4, anyone who does So anyone who knows the good he ought to do and does not do it, sins, is a sinner. So it's quite a dramatic thing to say, but maybe it's true. If God tells us something to do, we should do it immediately. When I met the church in 1974, I was in a good job and I was quite happy with my life. But I went to several workshops, and after the 7-day workshop, I had to make a choice whether to join the church, move into the church, or whether to wait a bit. My first reaction was to wait, maybe 5 years and see how the church grew and developed, and then maybe after 5 years I could think about joining. But God said to me, no, if the Messiah's on earth now, you have to join the Messiah, work with him right now. So the next day I moved into the centre of Liverpool and started my life of faith. And thank God I did. I never looked back since that day. What are the reasons we have to procrastinate, to put things off? You can give me a reason why we procrastinate.
Fear of failure.
Yeah, that's one definite thing. Anything else? Too tired? Yeah, it's possible too.
Not realising the importance of...
That's true, yeah. I've got 5 possible things here. One is indecision. We can't make up our mind. We can't make up our mind what to choose, whether to buy this car or that car, whether to move into this house or that house, whether to marry this person or that person. I don't know, there's many reasons, many things we're faced with, so we're often very indecisive. My daughter-in-law is very much that way. She takes a long time to make up her mind. Another reason is perfectionism. We want things to be perfect before we decide something. And if you wait for things to be perfect, you'll never do anything. If you wait until you have enough money to buy a house, then you never buy it. And when you wait to pass your exams before you do a certain job or wait for something to happen, you're never in a perfect state to do something. So you just have to go for it at the moment and perfection will come later. Another one is fear. We're afraid to do something. We put things off because we're afraid of what might happen if we do them. Like going to see the doctor in case we find out we have some terrible sickness, or going to the dentist and having to face the drill, or anything like this, anything which is unpleasant or not nice to do. We're scared of what might happen to us, so we put things off doing. And the last one is laziness, which is, I'm sure most of our, like Diana said, most of our reasons for procrastinating, because we're lazy. If something's hard to do or difficult to do, we put it off, and maybe we'll do it tomorrow, next week, next year, sometime never. When I was working in the office where Tom is now, I had a to-do list which I used to keep up to date. And many things were on that to-do list for 5 or 6, 7, 8 years, not just days, but years. They just stood on the list, and I was never, I didn't have the strength or the courage or the ability to actually do them. Because it meant going out of my comfort zone to do those things. So they're still on the list, they've never been done, but maybe they weren't important anyway. So next time you find yourself procrastinating, it's good to ask yourself, what's stopping me doing this thing? What's stopping me? Is it indecision? Do I wait for the perfect time? Am I scared of something? Am I just lazy? To find out the reason why you're procrastinating, and then ask God to help you to overcome that thing, and help you to achieve the thing, do the thing you should be doing. Last month, October, was for me one of the most traumatic months in my life, from beginning to end. My wife went into hospital. No, actually, on the 20th of September, which was just 6 weeks ago, my wife was giving the sermon here. She couldn't get upstairs. She was down in the cafe giving the sermon through some ethereal loudspeakers up here. But that was just on the 20th of September. Then on the 24th of September, 4 days later, she went into hospital. And on the 29th, we heard that she had severe cancer at the end of September. And then the month of October was, she was in hospital, up and down. Many members came to visit her at the end. And I was there every day. That's why I wasn't in church most of October, because I was a long time in the hospital. And then on the 22nd of September, she passed the spirit world after very peacefully. So just a few days ago now, just a few weeks ago. And on the 25th, last Sunday, we had the Suwa ceremony. And the reason we had it so quickly was partly because my children were here from America and from Germany, and they had to get back to their country, to their work, and they couldn't hang around too long, so we thought we'd do it quickly, the Suwa. So on the day Mary passed on the Thursday, we started things in motion. We went to see the funeral director. I want to tell you these things, they're really real things. And we told him we wanted to have the funeral Suwa, probably not on this was on Thursday night, but on the following Monday. And he was completely shocked. He said, "That's impossible, Mr. Franklin. You can't have a funeral service, that's such short notice. It takes days to get all the documents signed and all the formalities done and everything organised and prepared. So there's no way you can have it on the Monday." So next morning I went back to see him and I said, "Mr. James, we actually don't want to have it on Monday, we want to have it on Sunday, the day before." And he threw his hand up in the air. And we went through the things one by one and what the problems were, and we blew them out of the way and took away all the difficulties. And in the end, he said, "Well, I can't see any reason, Mr. Franklin, why you can't have it on Sunday. This was Friday morning, so Saturday, then the Sunday." And so we said, "Well, let's go for it. If you seem happy and prepared, we'll make it work." And he said, "We'll promise you we'll do it nicely," and I did. So then we had to spend the next day, Friday, inviting all our family all my physical family in Britain, and Mary's family from Denmark, and all brothers and sisters to be invited, and to let people know who should know Mary's spiritual mother and different people. So my children were there, all my children, Michael, Caroline and Tim were there with their spouses. And even our oldest grandson was there too with us, which helped a lot. So we had a very fun time actually. Those 3 days were full of laughter and excitement and fun and busyness, preparing for the Sungwa. It was an incredible time in our family. We thought Mary's character was not to be glum and unhappy, but to be that lady who were always laughing and smiling, and pushing things to be done quickly. So we thought we'd just do it quickly and have it on Sunday and just make it work. And thank God we did, because Sunday, as you remember, last Sunday was such a beautiful, beautiful sunny day. Incredible blue sky from morning till evening. Couldn't have been better. Mary was always a character who was impatient to get things done. And whenever something happened in our family, something went wrong, or the children did some bad thing, I would think, well, maybe we'll start some condition tomorrow or next week. And but Mary said, no, we'll start the condition now, immediately. And so we had to start some prayer condition or fasting or something right that minute, not just wait. And at a time when people called us up for help with their family, again, Mary would say, let's start a condition. We start 40-day condition right today. And just get on with it. And no need to procrastinate and wait. That was really her character. But actually, the Sungwa ceremony was actually the best witness possible to my family and our friends, and also Mary's work colleagues who came to join the ceremony. They'd never seen our church before. My family had not been in this church before or seen our traditions. But actually they were so impressed at the end of the day they couldn't believe it. They'd never seen any ceremony like it in all their life. They've been to church and been to many funerals, but they'd never actually seen such a beautiful ceremony as that. And from beginning to end, with all the brothers and sisters, hundreds of brothers and sisters here, and the flowers and the music. Actually, our traditions, which true parents have given us, are very special and very powerful, and the greatest testimony of all. We don't need to teach the principle necessarily, or all this complicated stuff. Just bring them to a Sungwa. So I can go back to them now, and they're asking questions now. Why do we do this way and that way? Why do we say this, and why do we call it Sungwa? And I've got a chance now to go to each one and explain to them why Father started this amazing tradition. So, as you know, we're moving house down to Kent, probably in January or February. So I had to call an end to my pastorship here. Everything worked out somehow quite quickly. First of all, my son moved back into our house. My son and I moved into our house with the plan then that we eventually moved together. Mary and I moved together with him and his wife down to Kent, to their new house. And then everything happened in October. Things changed completely. But anyway, I decided then I would end my pastor role actually yesterday, 31st of October. And we've been here 8 months, just 8 months now, and I'm sorry we couldn't have done more or achieved more in that 8 months, but at least we've really enjoyed our time here with brothers and sisters. Mr. Heish has promised to take on the temporary role of pastor here until we find a permanent replacement. Of course you can't replace me, but you can find maybe somebody much better. So I hope we can find the right person very quickly. So I'll give a very short talk today and finish there, and just thank you all for your patience and perseverance and support, and particularly in the last days and weeks of Mary's life. And thank you all. God bless you.
Great. Thank you so much, David. So now we have an opportunity to pray together. This is our prayer ministry time. And the power of prayer is amazing. We have to also remember Mary, who's on her journey, this wonderful journey, and we've heard about her life. We've all known her anyway. So let's think about Mary in our prayers today. Also, as David mentioned, his family, who are quite amazed by the traditions we have in our movement, which are absolutely amazing. But these are traditions given by the Messiah. There's only one Messiah. And also, let's think about members who are not doing so well. And there are some of us not doing so well, physically, emotionally, mentally, as well. And I'm sure you know somebody who's in that situation. So please, let's take a few minutes to pray. I'd like to invite George to give us some music in the background. And we're not going to rush today's prayer. Sorry, David.
One very short thing to round off the whole thing. The day after the summer, last Monday, we went out to breakfast with my family. And then we heard the news that one of my daughters-in-law was pregnant, ready to give birth to a baby next April. So that was a complete life and death and the circle of life. Correct. So it was greatest news.
Who was it, David?
Secret.
feel that? Yeah. Procrastination, I'm sure, is something that we all can relate to, especially as students. And often, I think there's so many people with ideas and aspirations and dreams that they have in their head, you know, maybe revelations that they have in the shower, on the toilet. But they are afraid to share that to the world or take those ambitions further from just thought or reflection, to actually create something and take action to make a change. But I'm sure if we, as a whole, can overcome our procrastination, our fears, our indecision, it helps all of us to take action and to take steps. So without further ado, we're going to move on to the offering song, which is Spring Son of Eden.
We are so grateful for this wonderful service that David gave today, and how you have been so present, and I could feel the Spirit of Mary so very much present and saying, yes, absolutely, get cracking and carry on. There's so much to do. So please, we want to offer you all what we can give and ask you to bless it and to guide the hands who are responsible to make sure that it gets used in the best possible way. Please may you guide all of them. We thank you for that, and that you can bless this offering and bless this week and bless this month and bless each families and each members and each people who are listening. We thank you for all that. I report in the name of Anne from the Cote Bless family owner, Chonel Gukaju.
Please take a seat, brothers and sisters. Johnson actually approached me during the service and asked if we would like to hear a report about the HARP activities yesterday. So I have to ask you, would you like to hear the report?
Yes.
Because you missed the announcement, but if you want, then where's Johnson?
Good afternoon, everyone. So yeah, yesterday actually was carp activity. We had our first carp activity yesterday here. It was a Halloween and workshop, and it was hosted by Blessed Children and some first gen. And Michael gave a talk about carp and about introduction to the principle. So a lot of guests came. I think 6. Auntie Mako's here right now. It's good. 6 guests came, and they were all together. I think about 20 people. Yeah, something like that. Anyway, it was really good, and yeah, we had a good time, and all the missionaries helped out. And yeah, Patricia, would you like to say something? Okay. Yeah, well, it'd be really good if you could, if you want to contribute or pray for us in any way. We're trying to have a lot of outreach activities. Also, soon he was there as well, and also that young lady over there is there too. So we have a lot of people supporting from headquarters. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Johnson and Patricia. So that's the end of our service, brothers and sisters. I felt there was a wonderful atmosphere here this morning. And did you feel that? A real warmth here this morning, actually, which is lovely, because that can give you so much energy for the week ahead as well. So, let's spend some time together before we all have to go home and start the week also. Do take care of yourselves. Let's really pray for each other as well. And let's meet back again quite soon. Okay, God bless you all.